The Curse of the Mountain Girl. Long ago, beneath the shadow of Mount Rono, where mist wrapped itself around trees like old spirits and the river sang songs of ancient things, there sat a quiet village named Mbara. The people of Mbara were humble farmers and fishermen, and they feared one thing above all, the serpent spirit that lived in the mountain above. It was said the spirit was a woman once, betrayed, broken, and cursed to crawl through the earth forever, waiting for someone who bore her blood to finish what she began. One night, during a terrible thunderstorm, a scream broke through the roaring skies. A child was born. The rain was sharp as knives, lightning tore the heavens, and the earth itself trembled. The baby's eyes opened, and they glowed. Her name was Naya. The midwife dropped the child in fear. "The serpent's child," she whispered. "The cursed one." Her words flew like wind through Mbara. Naya's mother, Mbara, wrapped the child in a red cloth and held her tightly. "She is my daughter. She will bring peace," she said, but even her voice trembled. The elders gathered and warned Mbara to hide the girl. "She must not anger the gods of the mountain," they said. "Keep her away from the sacred stream. Keep her away from the shrine." So Naya grew, not in laughter but in whispers. Children were told not to play with her. When she walked, birds would stop singing. She could talk to snakes, they said. She had never spoken to one until the day she did. Snake whispers in the dark. At the age of 9, Naya heard a voice while picking firewood by the riverbank. It was soft and hissing, like wind through grass. "Do not be afraid," it said. She turned, and saw a small green snake staring at her, its tongue flickering, eyes not blinking. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I am a friend," it replied. "I have waited for you, Snake Maiden." From that day on, she began hearing them everywhere. In trees. In the soil. Even in her dreams. Her mother wept, day after day. "You must never tell anyone," she said. "They will burn you, child." Naya promised. But something inside her had awakened. And it was not going to sleep again. When she turned 12, her mother fell sick. No healer could explain the sickness. It was as if Mbara's soul was fading like smoke. The night she died, she clutched Naya's hand and whispered, "Your father came from the mountain. From beneath it. You carry the weight of 2 words, my child. One day, you must choose who you really are." Then she was gone. And Naya was alone. Snake the wounded python. Years passed. Naya lived on the edge of the village, cared for by an old woman named Mbara, who treated her kindly but rarely spoke. The village still feared her, now more than ever. Rumors had grown. She walks barefoot because the ground speaks to her, they said. Her shadow turns to scales in the moonlight. One afternoon, while walking through the forest near Mount Rono, Naya heard a sound, a deep groan. She followed it and found a massive python, badly wounded, bleeding, and gasping for breath. Most would have run. But Naya knelt beside it. "You helped me once," the snake said in a voice only she could hear. "Now I return the gift." Its eyes glowed gold as it slithered onto her arm, coiling itself gently. In a flash of blinding light, Naya was thrown backward. Her head rang. Images flooded her mind. She saw a mighty serpent coiling around the mountain, weeping fire. She saw a village burning, and a girl standing between 2 kingdoms, land and water. Then she saw herself, her skin shedding, revealing scales of emerald and obsidian. Her voice echoed in her ears. "You are the Snake Maiden, last of the bloodline. You will bring either peace or ruin." When she awoke, the snake was gone. But her body felt changed. Stronger. Sharper. She knew what she was now. A curse, or a blessing. Or maybe both. Fish beneath the sea, rise of the fish king. Far away, under the deep blue waters of the Indero Sea, the ancient kingdom of Mbara mourned the loss of their great king, Abanjo, who had vanished during a seaquake. It was tradition that the next blood heir would ascend. That heir was young Azeki, gentle-hearted, thoughtful, but untested. He had been raised with stories of the land above, where humans walked on legs instead of fins and breathed dry air. On the day of his coronation, as jellyfish glowed like lanterns and coral reefs danced in the tide, Azeki knelt before the sea flame and was crowned king of Mbara. Yet he felt no joy. His dreams were haunted by a strange girl with glowing eyes and a serpent wrapped around her shoulders. Each night, she whispered something he could never quite hear. His advisors urged him to focus on the kingdom. "The humans above are dangerous," said General Koma. "They once haunted our kind. We must remain hidden." But Azeki wasn't afraid of humans. In fact, he was curious. So, one quiet dawn, he summoned the old magic. With the help of the sea witches, he took on a human form, tall, lean, and brown-skinned, with silver patterns that shimmered faintly on his back like fish scales. He would go to the surface. And destiny would follow. Water waved the fateful path. Back in Mbara, Naya sat by the river's edge, feet in the water. The villagers avoided her, but the river never did. It hummed under her touch. A fish surfaced, watching her with intelligent eyes. She smiled. "Do you understand me too?" she whispered. The fish blinked and disappeared beneath the surface. At that very moment, far off the shore, Azeki's head broke through the waves. He stood, breathless, on land for the first time. The sun kissed his skin. Birds flew above him. He took his first step. The land welcomed him. The same land that had cursed Naya. Two souls from different worlds had begun their journey. Each unaware that the other would be their undoing and their salvation. And so, the Snake Maiden and the Fish King began to move toward each other. The mountain rumbled softly in its sleep. The sea held its breath. The spirits watched in silence. Their story had begun. The boy from the river. The river that flowed through Mbara was not just water. It was memory. It was magic. It remembered stories no one dared to speak, and it carried whispers from the mountain to the sea. On its banks, secrets were born, and some came walking. One of those secrets had a name, Azeki. He stepped out of the sea before dawn, clothed in a fisherman's ragged robe. Though he had never walked on land before, his stride was sure, graceful. His silver-scaled birthmark shimmered under his collarbone, a quiet reminder of where he came from. To the villagers of Mbara, he was just a quiet boy who appeared one morning with a basket of salted fish and a calm smile. No one knew he was the newly crowned king of the Mbara, the underwater kingdom whose fate had been tied to theirs long before memory could remember. He spoke little. He sold his fish. He vanished by sunset. But one pair of eyes watched him closely. Naya snaked the first meeting. She saw him by the riverbank, just past the shrine stone. He was sitting quietly, bare feet in the stream, humming a melody she didn't recognize but felt deep in her chest, like a heartbeat not her own. "You don't belong here," she said softly. Azeki looked up, startled. Then he smiled. "Neither do you." Naya tilted her head. "You're not from the mountain. And you're not just from the village," he replied. They stared at each other, words unnecessary. In that quiet space between water and earth, two souls recognized each other before they even knew their names. From that day on, they met in secret. Sometimes by the waterfall. Other times under the moon, where frogs sang lullabies and owls blinked slowly. They spoke of small things, dreams, memories, stories they had heard as children. But never of who they truly were. Azeki didn't speak of coral palaces or sea sorcery. Naya didn't speak of hissing voices or golden-eyed snakes in her dreams. Still, they both knew. And they both pretended not to. Spirashell the hidden truths. As the days passed, Naya began to change. She'd wake from sleep covered in sweat, her skin itching, pulsing. Sometimes she found small patches of her arms glistening like scales. In the mirror of still water, her eyes glowed longer than they used to. One night, she dreamed she was a serpent, calling around Mount Rono, her voice shaking the skies. Below, the villagers screamed and ran. Only one figure stood calmly in the center of the chaos, Azeki, his hands raised, his face sorrowful. She woke crying. She couldn't tell him. Not yet. And yet, when he was near, the itching stopped. Her blood cooled. His voice silenced the storm inside her. But something was wrong with him too. Water waved the salt within. Azeki's steps had begun to slow. His skin grew pale under the sun. At night, he shivered violently, even in the warmth. He hadn't told her, but the spell that allowed him to walk the earth was weakening. He was a creature of the deep, his body craved salt water, his breath thinned on land. He had only weeks, maybe days, before he would begin to break apart inside. And yet, he stayed. Every time he thought to return, her face would appear in his mind. Her laugh, rare as it was, echoed louder than the ocean. He had not meant to fall in love. Fire the village grows uneasy. Mbara was a village of ears and eyes. Old women watched from behind half-closed windows. Children whispered what they saw. Naya, the cursed girl, was smiling again. Talking to someone unseen by others. Walking with a lightness in her step. The whispers turned sharp. She walks with spirit again. She's calling the serpent. The village chief, Elder Simwi, called a meeting. Beneath the baobab tree, they lit incense and prayed to the mountain gods. Drums echoed into the sky. It was decided. A cleansing ritual would be performed. Not to heal Naya, but to strip her of whatever unclean thing she had invited back into their world. Snake the night of fireflies. That night, Naya met Azeki under the fig tree by the stream. Fireflies danced around them, unaware of the storm gathering. I had another dream, she said, her voice low. What did you see? Azeki asked. You, she said. You were trying to stop me, but I couldn't hear you. There was so much screaming. I think I became the serpent. He looked at her, his eyes soft. You are not a monster. But what if I am, she whispered. What if they were right all along? Azeki stepped closer. Then let me be cursed too. She laughed, but there was sadness in it. You don't know me. I know enough. She studied him. His breaths were shallow. His skin had lost its glow. You're getting weaker, she said. He nodded. The land was never meant to hold me for long. Then why did you come? For you, he said. She turned away, afraid of what that meant. Afraid of what she felt in return. I can feel something rising inside me, she whispered. Like a storm waiting to break. Then let it break, he said, stepping forward. But don't do it alone. Hire the ritual. The next morning, the villagers came with drums and palm oil, white chalk and goat's blood. They found her by the river. Elder Simwi stepped forward. Naya, he said, you have been marked by darkness since your birth. Today, we cleanse you. She stood tall. You mean to burn what you don't understand? They ignored her words. Two men grabbed her by the arms. But before they could drag her to the shrine, the river stirred. A gust of wind blew the flames out from the torchbearer's hand. And then, a roar. Not from the mountain. Not from the sky. From the river itself. The villagers froze. From the water, a figure emerged, soaked, shaking, his human form barely holding. Azeki. Let her go, he said. Elder Simwi stepped back. Who are you? Azeki's eyes glowed silver. No one you can control. Naya broke free, ran to him. You're not strong enough to fight them. Maybe not, he said, gripping her hand, but neither are they strong enough to break us. She turned to the river. She felt it pulsing. The voice came again, clearer this time. Embrace it, Snake Maiden. The time is near. She looked at the villagers, trembling in fear. Looked at Azeki, his skin beginning to ripple with silver-blue veins. And for the first time, she saw the truth. He was not just a boy. She was not just cursed. They were something else. Something ancient. Something destined, they danced beneath the water moon. The sea took Azeki back like a mother reclaiming her child. As soon as his feet touched the tide, his body surrendered, gills flared open along his ribs, his skin shimmered like pearl in moonlight, and his lungs exhaled the dry torment of land. He dove deep, the water closing around him like silk, and swam toward the glowing gates of Mbara, the underwater kingdom hidden beneath whirlpools and coral caverns. But even in the comfort of the sea, his heart burned for Naya. Fish the healing waters of Mbara. The royal healers of Mbara laid him in a bed of glowing anemones and stitched his fading strength with ancient sea chants. Azeki drifted in a healing trance, his mind tethered to the memory of the girl with serpent dreams. When he finally rose, stronger, he was summoned to the power court. The chamber glowed blue, with jellyfish lanterns floating above noble heads. The council of elders waited, sharp-eyed, scaled, and suspicious. You are no longer just a prince, said Elder Moko, a shark-toothed matriarch. You are King Azeki now. Your heart belongs to the sea. My heart belongs where it chooses, he replied evenly. They hissed among themselves. She is a land child, said another elder. Was, a cursed one. The mark of the serpent is on her. You risk dooming our waters. Azeki stood. Our waters are already cursed if love is considered a threat. She is not love, Azeki, said Moko coldly. She is prophecy. The Snake Maiden either brings ruin or rebirth. And both may drown you. But Azeki said nothing more. He had already made his choice. Deciduous tree tied to the sacred tree. Back in Mbara, the village seeded. The river had roared. The cursed girl had walked into its waters and returned. Now, they claimed, she brought madness with her. Crops had withered near her footsteps. A baby was born with 2 tongues. Chickens refused to lay eggs. So they came with ropes and righteous fear. Naya did not fight. They tied her beneath the sacred baobab, where ancestors whispered in the leaves. Her arms bled from the ropes, but her gaze was steady. Children watched with wide eyes. Mothers looked away. Elder Simi poured a circle of ash around her and raised the bone rattle. Tonight is the water moon, he declared. When sea and land spirits are closest. Before midnight, we shall ask the ancestors, is she salvation or serpent? If she is serpent, she will burn. They left her there to await the moon's verdict. Alone. But not afraid. Full moon, the water moon rises. Far above, the water moon crept into the sky, a rare full moon that shimmered blue instead of white. Legend said it opened the veil between sea and land, waking old gods and forgotten magic. As the moon reached its peak, the wind changed. The drums of the village were silenced by a rumble from the river. And then, it came. Tropical fish Azeki's return. From the trees near the shrine, light burst in spirals, water floating upward like reversed rain. In its center stood Azeki, his skin now aglow with silver veins, his crown of coral hidden beneath a fisher's hood. He walked straight to the sacred tree, eyes blazing. The villagers ran in fear or fell to their knees. Let her go, he said, his voice now echoing like it carried the ocean inside it. Elder Simwi stepped forward. You dare interfere with our ways? I dare more, Azeki said. He raised his hand, and the ash circle around Naya vanished, blown away by a sudden wave of mist. The ropes melted into salt water. Naya collapsed into his arms, her body weak, her eyes distant. "She is mine," Azeki said. "And she is more than you can understand." But as he turned to carry her away, the sacred tree groaned. The ground shook. The mountain rumbled. And the villagers screamed, "She's awakening. Snake, the awakening of the Snake Maiden." Naya's body began to change in Azeki's arms. Her skin glowed faint gold, her eyes flickering like fire behind smoke. Scales shimmered along her spine. Her hair writhed like serpents in the wind. She clutched her stomach and cried out, a sound both human and not. Azeki held her close. "Breathe, Naya. Don't fight it. You were never meant to be small." The moon above shimmered brighter, casting twin reflections, one fish, one serpent, on the earth below. As they reached the ocean's edge, Naya began to convulse. "What's happening to me?" she gasped. "It hurts." "The curse is not a curse," Azeki said. "It's power that was never taught to love itself. You are becoming who you truly are." She looked into his face, and saw him, for the first time. His skin rippled with scales of polished obsidian. His eyes were whirlpools. Fins shimmered along his shoulders. He stood no longer as a man, but as the fish king, ruler of the waters. "You're not human," she whispered. "Neither are you," he said. And then her body gave in. Naya collapsed, her breathing slow, her limbs curling in on themselves as magic overtook her form. Spira shelled the dance beneath the water moon. The villagers gathered at the shore, terrified and mesmerized. Under the glow of the water moon, the sea itself parted slightly. The tide stilled. Crabs froze in place. Birds went silent. Azeki knelt beside Naya's fainting form. "I will return," he whispered. "But for now, rest, my serpent queen." He kissed her brow, then raised her gently into the sea's embrace. Water coiled around them like hands. The tide shimmered blue, gold, and green. And then, before the villagers' wide eyes, the two disappeared beneath the waves, one glowing silver, the other golden and green, twisting together like strands of fate. Above them, the moon washed. Below, the serpent spirit stirred. The forbidden union. Naya woke to silence. But it was not the silence of the forest, or of loneliness. It was the silence of water, thick and sacred. All around her, the world shimmered in blue and green. Fish of impossible color darted through coral palaces, their scales catching glints of light from glowing sea crystals embedded in the stone. She lay in a bed of soft kelp. Around her, the walls of the palace pulsed with life, as if the sea itself was breathing. And in the corner, Azeki watched her. He stood regal, though barefoot, his eyes soft. The coral crown sat upon his brow, and his robe, woven from sea grass and pearls, flowed like current. "You're awake," he said, kneeling beside her. Naya sat up, unsure if it was still a dream. "Where are we?" "My home," he said. "The kingdom of Mbara." She tried to rise, but stumbled. He caught her. "The ocean isn't used to holding snakes," he said gently. Her skin still shimmered faintly with the gold of her serpent form. But down here, it felt muted. "Hollow." "Why did you bring me here?" she asked. "Because you were dying," Azeki replied. "Because I love you." Spira shell whispers beneath the deep. But not all of Mbara welcomed her. The ocean spirits were restless. Jellyfish floated with tentacles retracted. Eels hissed from caves. Even the anemones recoiled when she passed. The sea itself knew she did not belong. "Snake in the water," the corals whispered. "Her blood calls the mountain," said the clams. "She brings storm," cried the sea foam. Only Azeki stood between her and their judgment. In secret gardens, in echoing halls lit by moonfish, Azeki and Naya found moments of peace. They spoke of dreams, of being outsiders, of childhood fears. And there, beneath leagues of water, they fell in love. Truly. Completely. But love alone would not be enough. Cyclone ancient laws, eternal prices. The high priestess of Mbara, an old creature named Lume, visited them. Her body was part woman, part sea lion, her face lined with barnacles, her voice like wind through caves. You wish to bind your souls, she asked, staring at Naya with no kindness. It is forbidden. Why? Azeki challenged. Because the sea and the serpent have never mixed without blood. Then we will make a new path, Naya said. Lume's gills fluttered. Balance must be paid. If you unite, the sea and mountain will rebel unless one of you offers something eternal. They listened in silence. To become one must lose all. What does that mean? Naya asked. Your serpent soul, said Lume. You may shed it and become human, forever. But in doing so, your memories of this realm, and of him, will vanish. Naya's breath caught. She would forget. Azeki. Forever. Before she could speak, Lume turned to Azeki. Or you, king of the deep, may give up your throne. Abandon your sea. Walk the land. But you may never return. 2 paths. 2 sacrifices. Only one love. Snake the weight of love. That night, they sat in the garden of Munkora. Above them, ghostly sea serpents glided in silence. Naya rested her head on Azeki's chest, listening not to his heartbeat, there was none, but to the currents that pulsed within him. I can't forget you, she whispered. And I can't ask you to. I've always been feared, she said. But with you, I was, just Naya. You were more than that, Azeki said. You were free. She sat up. Then let me choose. No. She turned. I will not let you forget me, he said. I have lived lifetimes with kingship. I know what I'd be giving up. But I've only lived once with love. That's the life I want. Azeki. I give up the sea. But before he could rise, the entire palace shook. High voltage, the storm breaks. Dark clouds gathered underwater, a sign of unnatural magic. From the deepest trench, a rumble rose. Sea serpents fled. Dolphins wailed. The serpent spirit had awakened. She calls me, Naya whispered. Her hands trembled. The gold in her veins began to burn again. She is angry, said Lume, arriving with a tremor in her voice. She claims you as her heir. You ran, but she summons you now, to complete your destiny. No, Naya said. I'm not hers anymore. She says you are, Lume answered. She will drown this kingdom to reclaim you. Suddenly, lightning flashed beneath the water. A storm was forming in the sea, impossible, but real. The ocean cracked. Currents turned violent. Mbara began to fracture. She's coming, Azeki whispered. Then, all went dark. Snake the spirit's demand. From the black chasm beyond the kingdom, she emerged. The serpent spirit of Mount Rono. She was vast, made of storm clouds and scales, her body curled like mountains, her eyes burning with ancient wrath. You were born of me, she hissed to Naya. You carry my blood. You will finish what I began. I am not your weapon, Naya cried. You are my daughter. The sea trembled. Naya stood between her and the palace gates. I have chosen love. There is no love in destiny, the spirit growled. Only purpose. And yours is to devour. Azeki rushed to her side. She chooses her own path now. The serpent lunged, but Naya raised her arms. Her skin blazed gold. The whispers of 1,000 snakes filled the sea. And for the first time, she spoke in their tongue. I am not your shadow. I am not your vengeance. I am not your curse. I am the end of your chain. Water waved the final choice. The serpent spirit screamed and vanished into mist. But balance demanded payment. The sea cracked open. A rift formed beneath the palace. If a sacrifice wasn't made, both the ocean and mountain would fall into chaos. They had minutes. Naya turned to Azeki. We both know what must be done. No. Yes. You were born of the sea. I was born to be forgotten. Let me be the one. She placed her hand on his heart. I want you to live. I want you to remember. That's enough. Tears floated between them like pearls. And then she stepped forward. Into the light of the ritual altar. Glowing star the memory and the mist. The waters shimmered. Magic gathered. Naya closed her eyes. Take my serpent soul, she whispered. Take my curse. Let him remember. Let me forget. A golden light burst from her chest. Her scales peeled away. Her eyes faded to brown. She collapsed. When Azeki rushed to her, she opened her eyes and did not know him. Who are you? She asked. Azeki smiled, through brokenness. No one, he said. Just a boy who once knew a girl with the strength of the sea. He turned. And walked away. Tears of the tides. The ocean was not calm. The sea floor split open with a thunderous roar, sending columns of steam and salt spiraling upward. From the deepest trench where no light touched, the spirit of Mount Rono rose. But she no longer wore a form of mist or storm. Now she came as a serpent of water and fire, with scales of obsidian and molten gold. Her eyes were twin suns in the dark, her hiss a tide that cracked coral walls and shattered fishbone temples. Azeki stood tall upon the crumbling palace ledge, arms wide, calling the sea to himself. Leave her, he commanded the spirit. She is no longer yours. But the spirit laughed, a sound that twisted the tides. She gave herself to you, it thundered. But her soul is mine. My curse runs in her blood. No sea magic can undo what was birthed in fire. The ground trembled as the serpent coiled upward. Beneath them, Naya stood, her body frail, her golden glow fading. Snake the last plea. Naya stood, though barely. Her hands shook. Her knees threatened to buckle. Yet she stepped forward, placing herself between Azeki and the serpent spirit. She raised her arms. Enough, she said. The storm paused. The sea held its breath. I was your daughter, yes. But I was also a woman who loved. Who chose peace. If blood must be spilled, then let it be mine. Azeki cried out, Naya, no. But she turned, her voice trembling. I gave up everything to save you, to save both worlds. Let that be enough. Then she faced the serpent. I will not fight you. But I will not run either. Take what you came for. But leave him, and let the sea live. The spirit paused. And for the first time, it wept. Tears of salt burned into the ocean, turning it black. So much love, it whispered. So much pain. Why did I never know this softness? And then it roared, louder than ever. If I cannot destroy you, I must be bound. And only one born of the sea may bind me. Water wave Azeki's reckoning. Azeki stepped forward, his eyes fierce. He removed his crown and placed it upon the stone. The waters churned. His robe of pearls disintegrated into starlight. I was born of the sea, he said. Let the sea claim me. From his hands rose a net woven of ancient sea magic, something only kings of the deep could summon. It glowed blue and silver, threads soaked in spells from before memory. He ran into the heart of the storm, toward the serpent's open jaws. With a cry of power and heartbreak, he cast the net, weaving it through the spirit's coils. The serpent thrashed, screamed, and tried to flee, but the net grew tighter, pulsing with the rhythm of the ocean's heart. By the laws of tide and time, Azeki shouted, I bind you. The storm cracked in half. 1,000 lightning bolts struck the seafloor. The serpent howled, and was gone. I the final flame. But not without cost. As the spirit vanished, it took with it the last fragments of serpent fire within Naya. She collapsed, her skin steaming, her breath shallow. Her golden shimmer faded until only her human form remained, soft, fragile, and forgetful. Azeki caught her just before she hit the ground. She looked up at him, confused. Who are you? His heart shattered. It's all right, he said, brushing her hair back. You're safe. She smiled faintly. Your eyes, they look like the sea. And then she slept. Spiral shell returned to shore. By dawn, the sea had calmed. Azeki, bruised and bleeding magic, carried Naya to the shore. With each step, his connection to the sea faded. He could feel it letting him go, not in anger, but in mourning. When he laid her on the warm sand, she stirred. She looked up at the sky, then at the waves. But there was no recognition in her gaze. No flicker of past battles, or secret dances beneath the moon. Azeki stood, watching her. She sat up slowly, touching her chest as if something were missing. Where am I? She whispered. He did not answer. Because the sea had already taken back its king. And the woman he loved was reborn. 12 years later. In a quiet village by the coast, where the gulls cried over morning mist and the fishermen sang songs older than memory, there lived a woman named Naya. She was kind but quiet. She painted strange images, fish kings with coral crowns, girls with golden veins, snake spirits wrapped in storms. She didn't know where the images came from. Only that they felt like memories from someone else's life. The villagers said she had once been found sleeping by the shore, lost and alone. Some called her cursed. Others called her chosen. She paid them no mind. Each morning, Naya walked to the ocean. She stood at the edge of the tide, letting the foam kiss her toes. She would close her eyes and listen. Sometimes, she thought she heard singing from deep below. Sometimes, she felt tears in her eyes for no reason at all. And once, just once, she saw a face in the water. A man with eyes like the sea. He smiled at her. She blinked, and he was gone. But still she smiled. Because something in her heart whispered, you are not alone. Water waved beneath the surface. Far below, in the kingdom that had no king, in the coral throne room now silent and still, Azeki swam. He had no crown. No power. No voice in the currents. But he had his promise. To watch over her. To keep the sea calm, so she could dream in peace. And every morning, when she stepped to the edge of the tide, he waited beneath the surface. Watching. Loving. Remembering. Sparkles the end.